Do you want to budget better? Do you want some of the best tools to make your financial admin even easier than you ever thought? This video and podcast is going to explain exactly how I would do that. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Owen, the host of the Australian Finance Podcast. This podcast is proudly sponsored by BetaShares, one of the leading providers of ETFs here in Australia. Serving thousands of financial advisors and over 1 million investors, BetaShares manages tens of billions of dollars on behalf of investors right across the country. I'm proud to partner with BetaShares on the Australian Finance Podcast, Australia's premier financial podcast, because there is great alignment in the long-term philosophy shared by both businesses. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Australian Finance Podcast. In this podcast, I'm going to share 3 ways to budget better. This short video and audio version of the Australian Finance Podcast is part of our new series introducing quick and easy sound bites to help you get ahead financially. So let's talk about budgeting. A lot of people make you think that budgeting is actually about what you're prepared to sacrifice. I used to think like this. You go into a book or you listen to a podcast or maybe you read an article online and you see things like cutting out your latte or not having your avocado on toast. And I actually think that mentality and the way you think about budgeting is completely wrong. And hear me out. A few years ago, here on the Australian Finance Podcast, we introduced a new activity for all listeners and community members at Rask. And it's a really simple activity that I want you to mentally do now as you watch this video. I want you to imagine that in one column on a sheet of paper, you list out the 10 things that bring you the most joy in your life. Maybe these are things like spending time with family or friends, playing sport, getting out in nature, riding your bike, doing whatever. Then in the other column, so just beside that one, on the same sheet of paper, I want you to imagine that you've got a list of the 10 things that you spend money on. At the top of the list, you might have things like your mortgage or your rent. You might have things like your transport costs or your car, groceries, those types of things. What you'll find if you list out these 2 columns, 10 in one and 10 in the other, is that you might identify some patterns in there. Now, we know that we don't have an infinite amount of money. So if we want to spend more, there is a limit. We can't spend more than what we're earning. Otherwise, we'll end up with mountains of debt, lots and lots of credit cards, and who knows where that will take us. So we are constrained by the amount of money that we have and what we can spend it on. So in most budgeting books, they tell you that it's about sacrifice. Cut out all the things that you want and just pay for the things that you need. But that's not a great way to live, is it? So if you go through this list on this sheet of paper that's in front of you, and if you're driving or you're watching this while you're at the gym, just imagine this sheet of paper. You've got the 10 things that bring you joy and the 10 things that you spend money on. Some of the things that you spend money on, like your rent or your mortgage, they're unavoidable. You might have some control. You might be able to move to a different area or sell your house or do something like that. But chances are a lot of that stuff you have to pay for. So that's kind of like what you've got to cover regardless. But as you go down that list and compare it to the other list of joy, what we think you'll find is there are some areas that you spend money on that actually don't bring you happiness. And in fact, you're spending money on something and you don't know why. Maybe there are things like going out with friends and buying a round of beers. You think to yourself, actually, I don't even like drinking. Why am I doing that? Or maybe you've got an expensive car and you realize it's not even in my top 10. Why do I spend so much money on this car loan? By doing this activity, it reveals if your money is actually bringing you happiness. And therefore, if you can cut things from your financial diet. And what you'll find if you do this activity, just like I did, is that budgeting is actually not about sacrifice. It's about rearranging your priorities. So what you end up with is a decision like, you know what, I'm not going to buy that new iPhone because it doesn't actually bring me happiness. Or I'm going to sell that car and get something cheaper. And I take the train most days anyway. It doesn't really matter. So by doing this exercise again and again, what you actually find is that you improve your happiness and you save money. And this is a much more sustainable way not only to save money for the long term, but also live a better life. When I do this activity with business owners, I also introduce a third column. And I say, not just what brings you happiness and what do you spend money on, but what are you spending your time on? Are your hours getting lost on things that you don't need to do or shouldn't be doing? Things like designing the latest Instagram post for your company. If you're a business owner, you probably get what I'm saying. There are many ways that your time just disappears and you get no return on that investment. So you can do this for multiple things. We have a free activity available in the podcast player or YouTube description to do the 10 things activity. It's so quick and easy and it will change your life. So now that we know what we need to do to have not just a sustainable budget, but a money system and a way of prioritizing what brings us happiness, I want to introduce you to some tools and 3 budgeting strategies that I know actually work. Number 1 is the 50-30-20 budget. The most common budget on planet Earth is the 50-30-20 budget. This budget is effectively just dividing your amount of money, whatever hits your bank account, into 3 different piles. You've got 50% of your money, that's half, going to the things that you need: the mortgage, the rent, the car, the groceries. Then you've got the 30% of your wants. Your wants are things like, I want to go on a holiday, or I want to buy that dress. That's your wants. Finally, the 20% is the savings/investing. If you're not ready to invest, that 20% goes to your savings. And this is a high interest savings account. Some of the most popular savings accounts from ING, UBank, even Rabobank here in Australia and Macquarie tend to feature really highly on our lists. So you've got the 50-30-20 budget. This is the most simple budget you can get around. Now, this might sound eerily similar to the barefoot investor budget, which is just giving a fancy name to some of those different buckets. In particular, there's like the splurge account, or maybe there's the fire extinguisher. Whatever works for you at the end of the day, this is the kind of base level budget, and you can start from this and build. The second type of budget you can do, and you can do this for free because we're offering it to you for free, is use our spreadsheet. We've designed a spreadsheet that we use with all of our financial planning clients here at Rask, and it's yours free. If you want it, it's yours. We'll include a link in the description for anyone that loves a bit of a spreadsheet like we do. That's there, and you can make it your own, which is what's cool about it. And number 3, thanks to our show partner, PocketSmith, you can actually get a discount on this. But easily the most popular budgeting app in the entire Rask community, with our hundreds of thousands of podcast listeners and community members, is PocketSmith. PocketSmith is kind of like stepping into the cockpit of budgeting. You go in there, there's all different tools, buttons, widgets that you can use, and it syncs with your bank account. So PocketSmith basically allows you to read your bank statements and set rules for the budgets and the spending. And you can see forecasts over the long term and so on and so forth. Now, I don't get anything for mentioning PocketSmith, but they do advertise on Rask Podcast. So that's full disclosure. If you sign up, you get a discount, but we don't receive anything from that affiliate link. However, they are an advertiser on our network. They don't even know I'm doing this video, for what it's worth. So 3 levels: 50-30-20, simple, easy, done. Number 2 is use our spreadsheet, customize it as you will. We'll break it up for you and show you how we would do it. And it even takes into account your income and that type of thing, so you can calculate what you might be able to invest. And number 3 is PocketSmith, the most advanced budgeting tool that I've ever come across and many people use across the world. So those are the 3 things. A few extra tips before I leave you. Number 1, all good budgets start with a bit of honest self-reflection. And it's just looking at what you're spending and where your money is going. My podcast co-host and financial advisor, Gemma Mitchell, always says, budgeting is the wrong word. What you actually need to remember is a system for money. All that a budget is really just telling your money where to go. It's a system. It just tells your money to go here rather than there. That's all it is. But to do that, you need to figure out how much you're earning, how much hits your bank account, and where you want it to go. And so you can just take out a highlighter, print off some bank statements, or use one of the tools that I've suggested. Number 2 tip for budgeting, if you're just getting started, is don't forget, first base is always getting that emergency fund. There are a lot of Australians who cannot save $2,000 to put in an emergency fund. I think of the Jason Bourne analogy from the movie with Matt Damon, where he goes to a Swiss bank account. He's just woken up and he goes to a Swiss bank account and pulls out a red He's got a red bag. It's got a bunch of cash, a passport, and a gun in there because it's an action movie. And that's his ticket to get out of a bad situation. An emergency fund is exactly like the go bag, as they call it in the spy business. It's the ability to have something just to protect you if things go wrong. So if you're just starting out, try and save that emergency fund in a high interest savings account. Use Macquarie, ING, Ubank, any of those banks, Up, any of them, just have that emergency fund. If you can't get to that, start with a little bit today, even $10, $20, $50, whatever, and slowly get to it. The key thing with this is the easiest way to boost that emergency fund is just sell stuff you don't need anymore. So things like maybe you've got like an old Xbox or a television or anything around your house, you can sell some of that stuff and put it in your savings account. It's incredible the feeling you will get from having even a small emergency fund. If you own a home, use your offset account, not a savings account. So there you have it. That's the crash course on budgeting. Remember, it's not about sacrifice. If your whole life was about sacrifice, it wouldn't be sustainable or enjoyable. Budgeting and good budgeting is really just about enabling the life that you want to live. Start with our 10 things activity, rearrange to the things that actually bring you happiness, and you'll find the budgeting takes care of itself. Don't forget to leave any comments on YouTube, Spotify, and reviews on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for watching this short episode of the Australian Finance Podcast. Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.